What's going on, YouTube modeling community? Pappy here at West Georgia Rods and Customs. Welcome back to the channel. This is an update on the NYS Modeling's Pro Street group build. This is a group build that I really enjoy each year. Going to give y'all a little update. I've had a lot of folks ask me, text me, email me, Pappy, what's going on with the Bullitt Pro Street? Well, this is where it's at right now. I've got everything you see here on my bench here is all the parts for it. Everything is laid out here. I'm going to dissect the body and the frame right here just in a second, but I wanted to show everybody really what I do and how I get to this point right here. Uh, one of the things, I've shared with you as far as earlier was how I do the wheels, as far as the deep dish wheels. If you wanted to use, say, an original set of, say the Mustang wheels, or like in this case right here, these are American racing old style wheels that I have put in the deep dish mag here, or the deep dish wheel, and prostrated them. So showed everyone how I do that. One of the other things that I like to do also when I do a Pro Street build, I take the backings that go on the back of this. Now this is an open wheel right here that you can see through. So what I'm going to be doing with the to help accent the detail in that, I use Pegasus rotors for the back of that. You can, once they're painted and everything and detail the caliper, you can look right through there and you can see the detail of the rotor in there. So I'll be using that. The only way that you can, I also like to take the backing from the kit and I open it up, cut it into just a ring like that. Then just do a lot of measuring, and we'll glue that into the back right there. Then I put a stud, kind of an axle hub that comes out that'll attach to the axle stud itself on the car for the suspension. Then once I get all that in there, then I'll put the rotor and such. Same thing with the back, the rear ones, the big rears. Of course, I have to cut these. I take a depth gauge on my calipers and check how deep it is from where it mounts. So those mount in there very nicely. We're getting ready to start the paint work on those. And as well, this thing will have four-wheel disc brake. So I'll be using these Pegasus rotors in that as well. Other things that I have got. If you notice, nothing has paint on it but except the engine. We'll get to that here in just in a little bit. The interior, I've got the interior bucket seats. They're glued up. They're sanded. They're ready for their first coats of primer. I prime everything. Everything gets a primer coat. That way I can check for little imperfections. Now, one of the things that, Scully, give me a hand. One of the things that I look for, especially when in my builds, is I make sure that if you got a two-piece seat where you've got, the front half and then you got a back half, you got a seat backing. There's always that little nasty seam line that goes up through here where you've joined it. That's one of the things I like to make go away in any of my builds. I glue it up first, clamp it. Then once it dries, the glue dries on it, I'll take it and I'll take a scraper, maybe a number 11 like that, and then I'll just lightly scrape that down till it's smooth. Then I'll take one of the sanding sticks and go over that, and I smooth that up just as much as possible. Got all of that taken care of. The dash is ready for, I will probably be drilling out the speedo and the tachometer gauges and backing those up with some decals. Then the detail painting will on slew with that. Got everything as far as the suspension, all the other little pieces. I got the front suspension. Actually, it's already glued on. I'm going to do some other detail work. Got the rear end, the narrowed rear end. It's ready for paint. This is I got to looking earlier at the radiator core support. And this the radiator core support that came in this, I had to do a lot of modifications in order to get this big 429 to mount down in there. So I just took made a template of what the radiator core support was, the basic outline of it. Took me a piece of 020 styrene and went to work. The X's that you see on right there, they're just ribs that, just like a body rib, or, where you would see a rolled indention in a frame. I just took some half round styrene and made that. The only thing that was salvaged out of the original radiator core support is the radiator housing itself. I cut it out, cut the wings off of it, and mounted. That'll be mountable right there. So got that taken care of. Where else? I've also picked out parts, little accessories like the this exhaust. I'll be cutting the tips off of these and just utilizing just the exhaust housing itself. Found me a nice dual filter oil canisters. I'll be mounting that somewhere in there, and the radiator as far as the cooling fan right there. So that's where we're at right here. Now, one thing I shared with everyone earlier was how I measure for the opening for the blower. Okay, well, you got to have an assembled engine in order to do that. So you either mock it up or you just go ahead and build it. I wanted to go ahead and build it, and this is the 429 that's going to go down in here. Painted it Ford blue. It's got some aluminum heads on it, and the big black these big black Boss 429 valve covers that are in there. I've already got it wired up, finished wiring it this morning. If you notice also, I've got fabricated some blower belt pulleys, and got the idler down here on that as well, as far as in the middle. I'm utilizing also the belts that were originally on the 429, and just did a lot of measuring, and now I've got to fabricate a blower belt to go around right there. I'll show everybody how I do that here in another video. This engine now is ready for some detail as far as a wash and stuff. I always like to put a black panel liner wash on this to kind of bring out the accents in the transmission and in the blower housings and stuff. So let me set that out of the way, and I'll show everybody how this big old behemoth engine mounts in there. Fits right down in there just like a glove. I did have to remove the inner fender wells of the engine compartment. This engine would not fit unless I did that. So I went ahead and just took the creative liberties of cutting it out and getting it ready for the engine. Now, with that being said, let's prove that this there you go, drops right down in there. And that's this was achieved as far as how to get it to fit. Once I set it down in there and I know the positioning of where I want it, I take the thin Tamiya tape, or you don't have to use Tamiya, but I just use the real thin Tamiya tape. And once I get it positioned into the frame, I just lay a piece of tape across from fender to fender, with the hood, well, not with just the hood on it, but leave the hood off. That way you can put your tape on here, you mark, and then you just put a little reference mark, pull your tape, go up here to the front, right in front of where the blower pulley is at, and put you another piece of tape and put you a reference mark. Now you know how far to cut. I've got, I showed everyone earlier as far as the template for the opening, and this is just kind of a generic template, how I position it, and it's just done like that. Once you get familiar with how to, cut the opening, it's just a matter of drilling you some holes down through there, and then just kind of trimming it out with your hobby knife, and then taking a sanding stick and a flat sanding stick and a curved sanding stick to kind of round out the corners and everything. So that's how I like to accomplish that with that. All right, let's pull this. We're going to pull the engine out, set that over there, and we're going to dissect the body now. This, you see a lot of tape, Tamiya tape on the body, and that's holding the inside of the door panels in for me. We'll flip it over right here, and everything has lined up just the way I like. This back half looks like it was made made onto this frame. So we've got all that taken care of now. I glued, not glued. I took the body. I'm gonna show everybody a little something different. How I'm gonna mount these body panels or the door cards onto the body, not the frame. So you'll notice that when I start dissecting it, I'll pull the frame out if I can get it out. It's not taped in there. Okay, the frame pops out just smooth as all get out. Now, if you notice, I've got the door cards actually and the rear interior panels taped into the car. And that reasoning with that is because I glued the firewall in first, and because I wanted that body color to be the same right there, but I didn't want any interferences once I started the final assembly. So I've got the door cards taped in there. I had to take a little bit off of the bottom, and what I do is I make the top of the interior door card flush with with the top side of the door right here where the windows would extrude out of. So get them taped in, they're flush. Then I take a piece of tape and wrap it over right there. And then I just start laying my frame down in there to see how much clearance I'm gonna need to get that frame to go in there and play nicely. So it took just a little bit for me to be able to get that frame to lay in there nicely. Same thing with this right here. And then I had it's pretty much trial and error to get the contour on these panels to fit right, especially in the rear. I just had to make me a little paper template and just kind of eyeball it right here, and then just start lightly trimming away the interior panels. So let's let me find a tweezer, and I'm gonna dissect this all the way down to where it's ready. I've got everything fitting nicely. I'm ready for it to ready to start painting it. There's that is the, let me pull the tape off of these panels here. That's the rear door or rear panel cards for the interior. And if instead of that's how we would normally mount it right there. I just don't want any interference in the final assembly with that. So we'll push that over to the side, and we'll keep taking this all the way down. Get that pulled right there. Pull this panel. I use the Tamiya tape because it's not as aggressive, say on a paint job or anything like that. But it's easier to pull off than some of the household type masking tapes and things like that. I'm gonna show you another thing that I've did. If you ever, when you, this is the door card for the driver's side. When these side pieces were married together, I just took a razor saw, separated them. And if you notice on the very back of some of the original some of the kits, you'll notice some little pieces right here. They are for reference for when you mount these in here. And what I did, I trimmed them off and took some round styrene and just glued those in there the same height. That way, when they're mounted in here, when they are mounted in, I'll put a dot of epoxy on that, and then I'll make it flush with the door, and that's where that door will sit. So a little bit easier. So that way, because I'm not going to be doing the traditional way of mounting that panel as far as that door card right there. Reason being is I've got, like I told you earlier, I've got the firewall mounted into the car itself. So when you're trying to if I was to try to, get that, imagine these were, the door cards were mounted onto this. If I tried to tilt that back down in there on the final assembly, it would be hard to get that kick panel to go down in there, because it would stick out further than that. Because normally with the build, the firewall would go be assembled onto the frame itself, and it would fit up in there. I want a tight fitment in the firewall and on the body itself. So that's the reason why I did that. It's a little different assembly, but that's, it's the paying attention to, trying to, think outside the box a lot of times on a build actually helps. It helps it in the long run, as far as I'm concerned on my builds. So, but that's everything. You pretty much, what you see right here, everything is ready. I'm going to take the body, everything will get a bath. All these pieces will go into a little small container, little Tupperware container of warm water and Dawn. Everything will be washed down. Then once everything's dried out, I'll take it out in the garage, put me a coat of primer on here, and then I'm going to get started with the colors that I'll be using on the interior. Colors that I've chosen for the interior is going to be XF52. It'll be a two-tone. That's the flat earth and the XF58 olive green. And I'll do the accents as far as the two-tone. Body color, TS9, British Racing Green, and that'll be followed up with a lot of coats of TS13 clear, and then a good polishing. Same thing with the under here. I will end up doing British Racing Green on as far as in the floor pan in the back tubs. I'll tape off the as far as the sub-axle subframe itself, and get everything painted probably a NATO black with that. So got everything as far as the front axle. Had to fabricate a front axle to get those wheels to fit up in that wheel well real low and mean. But that's where we at right now with this. Thought I'd show everybody and share a few things of how what goes on in this mind of mine when I'm creating a Pro Street build. But again, Dylan, really appreciate you hosting this again this year. I look forward to it every year. Everybody that's joined in on the group build, I've been following a lot on YouTube, a lot on Facebook. Builds are looking great, guys. I really enjoy seeing everybody's takes on different cars, as well as the inspiration. Man, there's been a lot that I've seen that has inspired future builds of mine. So, with that being said, thanks a lot. Anyhow, folks, have a great rest of your weekend. Remember, if you can dream it, build it. God bless y'all. Pepe out of here.